Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to learn a song, specifically how to play chords or how to cross pick and back a song. Now we're going to use a song called Steal Away. This was requested by one of the members on my Patreon, and it's a song that made famous by the Furey brothers. The melody was written by Eddie Furey and the lyrics were written by Phil Coulter. It's a great song. It's very simple. It has the one melody for both the verse and the chorus. So once you learn off a couple of chord shapes, you can play the entire song. So I'm basing this entirely on the Furey brothers version. They do it in the key of G. Essentially, you need the chord of G, chord of D, chord of C, and there is one A minor chord. I'm going to show you how to do that so that you keep the sustain and the chord shapes simple, but moving through the whole song. We're going to look at three different ways to pick this. One is to use cross picking over a 6-note repeated motif. One is to simply strum the chords. Now, I'm no strumming expert, so I can't necessarily describe what that is, but it's like all 4 strings and then a little refrain on the top 2. Is that a good description? And the third way might be described as a sort of a bum chuck. So the first thing we need to learn are the chord names and shapes. So it's in the key of G, and your first chord is going to be the chord of G, which is made up of the triad of G, which is the notes G, B, and D, and any combination of those. Easiest way to do that on the banjo is to play fret 2 on the A string and fret 3 on the E string, and that gives you G, D, B, G, which is a very pleasing G chord. The next chord that crops up is the chord of D. Now, if you want to hit all 4 strings on the banjo, your D note is going to be all the way up here on fret 7. And while it is theoretically possible to play a chord shape that is D up here, catching the D, I will apologize straight away because I normally tune my G string up to A. I use a slightly lighter string. So when it's in G, when we stray up here, the intonation is a little wonky. So if you'll forgive me for that. So what I suggest as a D chord is an F sharp on top. So that is fret 2 on the E string. And then use your thumb to clamp fret 2 on the G string. And that gives you A, D, A, F sharp. So while it's a D chord, it doesn't have the root, which is D on the bottom. It does if you leave out that G string. But for the purposes of the cross pick, which I'm going to show you in a minute, you need to have all 4 strings working. And that's the easiest way to do that D chord. Now we get on to the chord of C major. Now here is where the nicest sounding chord will be catching the C on the G string here on fret 5. Back it up to make it easy to make the shape with the G on the D string, so 2 fret 5s. And then you're going to catch fret 3, which is a C note on the A string, and leaving your E to ring. So that's a C chord with the C, the root on the bottom. So that is nice, except one of the C chords that they use in this song transitions to an A minor. A minor is the relative minor of C major. Look it up. I'd only mess it up if I tried to explain it. There's an easy way of doing it, but you don't need to know that for now. What you do need to know is that the chords in the song go from G to D, repeat the D, then there's a C that transitions to an A minor. It doesn't happen in the chorus, or toward the end of the verse. But for the first one, it does. I hope I'm making sense. So what I recommend doing for ease of sustain and without jumping around, when we jump chord shapes, that's when we lift off, lose the sustain, and then it sounds a little bit bitty. What I suggest doing is when you go to play the C chord, leave an open G on the bottom, which is in the chord of C anyway, and play an open G, followed by a E, C note, and an open E. So it's a C chord with a G on the bottom as opposed to the C on the bottom. Now, if you're very stretchy, you can do this. That works. The reason that we want to do it this way is that when they do that chord of C, they switch it to an A minor. And what we're going to do to get that is clamp on an A. And I'll just show you that changing one note in that sequence to an A makes it an A minor. The important point being here is always to remember that the banjo in a song is not the important instrument. You're just in the background allowing the song to be sung, and hopefully, there's going to be guitar and other instruments. So you're adding the timbre of the banjo without it having to carry the role of carrying the chord and the progressive bass note that often goes with chord playing on a guitar. So, what does it sound like? Best to do it with the Fureys themselves.
Steal away, let's steal away. No reason left to stay here. For me and you, let's start anew. And darling, steal away. Steal away, let's steal away. No reason left to stay. For me and you, let's start anew. And darling, steal away. Let's steal away and chase out the rain and hope they'll never find us. The weary days, the empty nights, we leave them all behind us.
So let's dig in a little bit. What I did that time is cross-picking across the 4 strings. The pick direction, I'm going to say it's up to you. That's a great way to teach, isn't it? Do whatever you like. If it's at a little bit of pace, I might do down, 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 followed by up, up, up. But you can also go down, up, down, up, down, up, which is alternating picking, and that's absolutely fine. Across 4 strings, I find that a little bit confusing. So I actually prefer the kind of the economy or sweep picking for something like this. So that's cross-picking across the 4 strings. I don't want to say it's massively advanced, but there's a little bit of work involved because now you're really bringing out the rhythm on the banjo. And if you're playing along with other musicians back in a song, you don't want to waver. You do want to be rock solid with your rhythm. As I mess it up, so I'm proving my own point. Right. Anyway, option 2, let's just go for the full strum. And again, so this is about getting the chord shapes right and just being in the rhythm of the song. That's probably the starting place, right? So that's the easiest option. The chords are very straightforward. You know, once you know your shapes and you can jump around, that's a very good place to start, because you can add the picking in to the chord shapes. So that's just the chords. We've looked at the cross picking across 4 strings. So what does bum chuck look like, for want of a better term? The count for this is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The count for this is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. On the 1, we're going to try and play the note of the chord. So for the first chord, it's G. And then we're going to play 2, 3 as a double or 3-string chord. So for that first one, which is the chord of G, we're going to hit the G string, and then using B and G, 2 and 3 on the A and E string. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So the next one is D. Now previously we've been clamping on the A, but because this will allow us just to play on 3 strings, we're going to hit the open D. And because it's a chord of D, having the D on the bottom will sound a little bit better. Still clamp on your thumb just so that there's a low A trapped on the bottom, in case you catch it with your pick, and just to stop the G resonating as well. Now we get to C. I still think keeping the low G on the bottom is the easiest way to play the C chord. And you could even use the G and the E. Now if you want, you absolutely can bring it up to here, which would be a nicer G chord, but again, don't forget the A minor. And what we want to avoid is the jump, which leaves the gap. Doing the C with the G on the bottom. Like in the cross-picking one, when we clamp on the A, suddenly it's an A minor chord. So it's about the chord shapes, and they're the same no matter what the right hand is doing. G, D, C, A minor, back to the D, and back to the G. And then the right hand is going to go R, After that, it's all about putting in fills and little runs and stuff like that, and that's completely up to yourself. So here's a version. I'm going to play the song with the Fureys, and I'm going to do all 3 picking methods. I'm going to keep the chords the same so that you can see what I'm doing. So this is as simple as I can make it. Of course, there's always going to be more fun ways, or even trying to play out the melody and things like that. But for the purposes of this, because I'm aware of who's trying to learn it and trying to pitch the lessons at, getting into playing songs maybe for the first time. So there you go. If you like this, if you want other people to see it, hit the like, subscribe, and comment button. And if you want all the notation for this, and if you want just to support me making all of this free content, head over to Patreon, and there's a load of different offers on there. I'd love to work with you on your banjo journey.
Steve let's steal away. No reason left to stay. For me and you, let's start anew. And darling, steal away. Steal away, let's steal away. No reason left to stay. For me and you, let's start anew. And darling, steal away. Let's steal away and chase out the rain and hope they'll never find us. The weary days, the empty nights, we leave them all behind us. Steal away, let's steal away. No reason left to stay. For me and you, let's start anew. And darling, steal away. We leave behind the empty streets, the gloom and desolation, the rain, the cold, just growing old. God knows it's a hard outstation. Steal away, let's steal away. No reason left to stay. For me and you, let's start